So, if you saw the title of this video, you might be curious, how do you study videography for free?
I can think of a few ways, but I'm not going to say anything just yet.
Stay tuned.
Videography. It sounds like a made-up word because really,
Somebody had to make it up.
yeah, it makes sense, right? It's photography that turned into video, videography. And what does it mean? It's not cinematography, although it kind of is, because it's shooting, it's recording moving images, motion.
So how do you study it? I mean, there are film schools. You could definitely go to film school,
And those aren't free.
Yeah, but how do you do it for free? This is actually a question. We have the name Ashley Waite on Quora.
Nice.
She asked, how can I study videography and video animation independently and in a cost-effective manner? I would rather spend my money on equipment and things to read than tuition. I don't know what that last part means, but instead of paying tuition, she'd rather
spend money on equipment and things to read.
Oh, things to read.
Than tuition. Yeah. Which is, nowadays with the internet and all of this information at our fingertips, really people can become educated without the degree or certificate, but can learn as much or more than people that are sitting in bricks and mortar schools.
Yeah, absolutely. So this question was asked on Quora. Hopefully she gets a good video response. Maybe we'll post a version of this video there.
Probably.
But you're watching it on YouTube. YouTube, you probably know a quick answer. You can get a lot of education on
You
YouTube,
really can.
right?
Yeah.
I wanna like give some real examples because I've used YouTube to learn and become a videographer. I did not go to film school. I use DSLR cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn how to use those, and guess where I went?
YouTube.
I went to YouTube.
Of course.
So back even before my DSLRs, when I was filming on my iPhone, not this one, but my previous one, I wanted to know like how to set up lighting. The very first video that I remember that I started studying in depth was a video that Apple made. It's got to be like 5 years ago they made when the new MacBook Pro came out.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Ives or whatever was on the screen. He had a bright white background. And I was like, ooh, that's a real professional look. I want to learn how to make that, or I want to be able to make my videos look like that. And so with my phone, I set it up on a tripod. I got different lights. I got a white cloth background and hung it, and it was okay. But then I tried paper, a big roll of white paper.
Right,
It's actually
yeah.
that white roll that you see up there.
Oh, yeah.
And then it looked better, but the lighting still wasn't right. So studying the video, I looked at the whites of his eyes, or the reflection on his eyes, and I could see the lights, and I could see how he had it positioned. I was like, oh, okay, so I've got to sit. And seriously, I studied the video in depth like that, and I figured out how to set up the lights so I could get my image to look just like Apple did.
That's cool.
I didn't have to pay anything for that, but I really had to like rewind it and test and tweak, and it took me a few hours of setting it up, and I got it to work.
Now probably though, if you'd have been thinking clearly instead of trying to read the whites of his eyes, you could have just gone to a different YouTube video.
Well,
how to set up the Apple guy's lights.
But I wouldn't have even known how to name it, right? I mean, I guess, yeah. Every video that I watch, this is how my mind works. When I'm watching a video, my mind is thinking, how did they film this?
Mm-hmm.
So most people probably aren't that way. I guess it's my career maybe. But whenever I'm watching a video or I'm watching a vlog and they do some unique transition, I was like, ooh, that was cool. I never thought of doing it that way.
Yeah.
That's a great way of learning how to vlog or learning how to film or learning, any type of video is just studying what's in front of us and then trying to figure out reverse engineer. So as another example, I had to, filming with the iPhone, I had to learn to lock in the exposure settings because it adjusts automatically. So I would turn down the lights, I'd hit the lock button, and then I'd turn the lights back up, and it would really wash out the white background. It just looked so sharp. So it's just fun to be self-taught, but learn how to do to that level. And as kind of a conclusion to that story, people saw those videos that I made, and they asked if they could hire me to film videos for them that looked that good. And I was like, well, I'm filming them with my iPhone. They said, really? Well, that's okay, as long as they look that good.
Yeah, what's the difference?
So that's actually what got me started into doing video production as a profession.
See, that's something he learned right off of a YouTube video, and with a little bit of investigation and a magnifying glass to see what was in a guy's eye.
Yeah.
He learned without paying tuition.
You know what? I have another example, but I forgot that we're going to demo it on my laptop. Right. So, okay, Veritasium is a pretty cool channel. In fact, that's the video I wanted right there. Okay, we can click on it. The world's roundest object.
What are we talking about again?
I think you promised to be really careful.
Okay, so the world's roundest object, it's this ball, but look, maybe I didn't pause in the, I noticed what camera he was using.
You can see what he's using.
I was really curious. Yeah. So this is just an example, but when I'm watching vloggers and they're walking down the street with glass, you know, a glass building, I'll always pause the video and rewind it, go in slow motion so I can see, ooh, they're using the same camera I'm using. Oh, they're using a point and shoot today, or I'm always paying attention to that. So the lighting in their eyes, I'm looking at the cameras, anything that I can study. I'll notice a shadow. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see the other person walking along filming. Sometimes they'll accidentally get their shadow in there and whatnot. So
now,
anyway.
Do you prefer that kind of learning over just deliberately typing in what is the best camera to use?
I've certainly done both. And so when you go to YouTube and you type in what camera should I use for this, or to vlog
or
with,
typical light setup for,
there'll be a person that will tell you their opinion. Well, I chose this camera because of this, or I chose this. But to me, I'll do that and I'll watch those videos, but then to actually see somebody using it, it's like one of the vloggers that I follow, the family that lives in the RV, they recommend a couple cameras, they recommend a couple lenses, but when I've seen the reflection of their camera, I'm like, okay, in this instance, I can see them actually using this camera.
Right, okay.
And in my mind, it just pieces it together. So, you know, the next example that I had is more realistic to that you can't do it from watching a how-to. So Less Junk, More Journey, that's the RVers. I want to show you an example of, let me go to their channel. So this is a really cool family. I'll just pick any video because I know that any one of them is good. We're just going to watch a little bit of their episode here. It's 15 minutes long. We're only going to go a little bit into it.
Sure, okay.
There's a lot that we can learn right from the beginning.
What are we doing today? We're going on a field trip. It is a field trip.
It is.
What are we going to ride on?
A boat.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had an intro there. They kind of gave a little teaser of what they're going to do. They're going to go on a boat. Then now they're doing a time lapse. We got some music. And notice how the time lapse is zooming out.
Yes,
so I'm like,
right.
ooh, I wonder how they did that. Now we got some other shots.
Oh, there you saw.
Yeah.
You catch a reflection
Yeah,
in
there's
you can see what they're using there, the SLR body. And
so see how many different shots they had to take? We're only 28 seconds in.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that they've put in here.
Right.
So, I mean, they've really thought this through. They're getting a lot of shots to tell this story. So it's kind of telling a story. They're going to go on this tour. It's like, okay, we were in the car, we were driving so that's what I love to be able to do is if I want to become a better vlogger, I can type in how to become a better vlogger or how to vlog. And I'll get some good tutorials, but find a vlog that you really like their style and watch it and study. And like, oh, how did they do this? What camera are they using here? You know, they're standing. How did they get this shot? Well, you could see the reflection in the rearview mirror. They're holding the camera.
Yes.
You know, looking out the window.
Yeah.
And so that's a really great way to learn. Vlogging is especially great because you get stuff like that with the reflections and stuff that you don't normally get in like a studio type setting. So.
Well, and really, you know, even if you were to go to college and study videography, the fact is that your field work, when you're interning with some production company or you're just out doing your own projects, that's really where the rubber hits the road and you're learning anyway.
Yeah.
The textbook becomes reality. And in this way, you know, you kind of get, you know, you can blend the best of both worlds. Like you say, you see what other people are doing that's good that you want to emulate, and then you can switch over to another, you know, one of the actual tutorial videos of how to pull focus and how to do backlight and you know, at the same time.
Here's a great example of that. So I did not go to film school. If I would have, there would have been a curriculum. Some things would have been applicable and some things would not have. There's going to be some general education, you know, even when it's a focused course like that. Well, for me, when I upgraded to a DSLR camera, I then went to YouTube, how to use DSLR. And I learned, how to film in manual mode. So I could learn how to control the aperture and how to control the ISO, the sensitivity. But the great thing about that is I could really just focus on what I needed. I didn't have to like take a course, okay, here's lesson 1, here's lesson 2, here's lesson 3.
Right.
And like get this whole picture before I started.
Yeah.
I jumped in. I was already a professional, making a living, making videos with my iPhone. And then I'm like, I need to learn how to use DSLR now. So I went to YouTube, watched what I needed to learn at the moment. So this camera that's over here, this is my new point and shoot camera. I had to actually watch a couple tutorials to learn how to use that camera the same way I use my DSLR.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's different. So that's another big advantage or recommendation that I have is how do I study videography for free? Well, only study the things that you actually need. Don't worry about general stuff. Yeah, I'm really going to say that. Just don't worry about that.
Now, I know we're going to hear from people who actually went to film school and that are doing video animation, as she talks about, or that are professional videographers in more of a narrative sense. They're doing Hollywood production things or stuff for clients or whatever. And, I wouldn't say they're apples and oranges, but they're not exactly the same thing. But the general principle is, if you're wondering if you should spend your money on equipment or on the study of the art, in this particular circumstance, from this particular gentleman, he would say, if you have not limited resources, but if you have resources that have a cap, maybe you can learn for free online and just buy the stuff yourself and learn by doing. You may not end up at Telluride or Sundance or some magical festival to show off your stuff, but on the other hand, just even this RV thing looks pretty dang good. Like that's broadcast quality stuff. The cameras they're using, you'd see that on National Geographic Channel or Discovery or the Travel Channel. I mean, so there's my summation, Your Honor, for what it's worth.
One final point, and this actually comes from a question.
I believe I just used the word summation. Okay, go ahead.
A question somebody else asked on the similar topic is, I want to be a videographer. Where should I start? And I've mentioned this in a previous video. It sounds kind of funny, but I'm going to recommend to create crappy videos. Meaning...
On purpose?
No.
But they're going to be crappy anyway?
Yeah. It's better to start
Just
now and make mistakes and watch them and laugh and make improvements than to try and become good at it before you actually hit the record button. You look at my channel. In fact, just this morning, I'm actually, one of the videos we're filming today is a remake of a video I did 4 or 5 years ago. And I went back just to see what did I talk about. And I was looking at myself like, I was reading from a teleprompter, and you could totally tell. It was like, this is ridiculous.
That's because you have these massive eyes. They're like searchlights, you could see every movement out of this.
Well, it actually wasn't the eye movement, but it was just the way that I was talking.
Okay.
You could tell I sounded like I was reading.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this sounds terrible.
Yeah, and see, this
I almost thought, should I...
This conversation, we're reading all of this.
Yeah,
this entire video
we've got
is
3
been
teleprompters, so you couldn't tell.
You've gotten that much better. No.
So the moral of the story was, yes, right now, I thought about going back and just deleting that video because it's kind of embarrassing to me. I decided not to, but
Should we tell them which one it is so that they can look for it?
No.
Okay. But it's an old one on the channel?
Yeah, all YouTubers. You go to any YouTuber's channel. I'll take this off of me. You go to any YouTuber's channel and you go back through the archives and you'll see some embarrassing stuff.
Well, it's an evolution.
Yeah.
You really do. You get better over time. You improve. You change your focus. You make adjustments,
So my recommendation is to embrace it. Just create videos now, the best you know how, and don't expect too much. And then you'll learn to improve it and make tweaks and changes.
Well, and if I may, and as a final word.
I'll let you have the final word.
I don't. But I would say, just kind of based on my knowledge and history of talking to you, that any content is content. I mean, in terms of just getting going, but getting content out there, the more content you have somehow is good. I mean, really, your body of work, regardless of what's in it, is a good thing for the YouTube, whatever you call that, logarithm.
Yeah, my early videos got me clients.
Algorithm. Oh, they did.
Mm-hmm.
And they were crappy.
They were crappy.
Self-termed crappiness. Just saying.
So this video is obviously awesome. So you'll want to subscribe so you can see more awesome videos like this.
Or just rewind and watch it again.
Oh, they're going to do that too.
And subscribe.
Invite some friends to come watch it again with you.
Big party.
Bye.